Hey guys, this is Black Woman 7 here, and today I'll be going over another group of brand new Pokemon that were introduced with the Crown Tundra DLC, and these are the Galarian Canto Birds, or as I like to call them, the Dark Psychic Fighting Core that we never had. So we're fighting. Well, then again, I think we did, but I don't know. So let's just get right into it. We've known about these birds' existence since like the I don't know, like the January, December. I don't know, like I know it was early January where they had the Pokemon Direct where they revealed these birds and the whole DLCs, Hell of Armor and Crown Tundra initially. So and the fact that we're getting like regional variants of these Pokemon, were just with legendaries in particular, is amazing because they could have different BST distribution, though it might be similar. Uh, they could have like entirely different ways of playing or using them. So I could give them some new form of life. So even though their forms are probably going to like, you'll see what I mean. Like certain forms might overshadow the other, or they'll just be completely different. So let's just get right into it. So we'll start off with Articuno since who knew. So Articuno is kind of interesting because it has base 125 like special attack with the ability competitive. So if someone ever tries to intimidate or defog on you, or do any stat drops, you're able to get a +1 or +2 special attack raise unless they go for Snarl or something like that, or Haze. Well, then again, I don't know if people will go Haze on Articuno immediately, but still, point stands like you're gonna get a massive like special attack raise on top of your very high 125 special attack. Bulk is pretty nice, but one thing that Game Freak did was they didn't give any of the birds roost. Of course, Articuno was the only one that actually kept roost. In it, or a form of recovery in the form of recovery itself, but like it didn't. The fact that it loses roost is pretty massive because that means, the weaknesses that are attributed to flying, rock, ice, like electric, um, are now gonna like when you roost on a with a flying type, you remove some of your weaknesses, but at the cost of like being weak to ground moves. But of course, there's that that 50-50 benefit, going for a roost and someone predicting that going for Earth Power Earthquake. So, and one thing about Articuno that it did not get, it didn't keep any of its former stab ice move. Like Freezing Glare is a psychic move, and thankfully it only has like a 10% chance to like freeze, so that's nice. Uh, so yeah, that's a brief rundown of Articuno. So in terms of like movesets, some sets I like are like Calm Mind sets for any psychic type. Bulky like CM is pretty nice on Articuno, but you could use like any like form of psychic, stab of psychic, Psyshock, even Store Powered has that option, and you could have Hurricane as your flying stab. Unfortunately, the thing with Articuno is that it really suffers uh in terms of coverage. Like this thing gets hard walled by like very like strong steel types and like rock types in general. Like of course T-Tar comes to mind. So Metagross, T-Tar, um Registeel, etc., etc. So and this thing is gonna struggle to break those Pokemon. Like it really needed like to keep like maybe I don't know, even if it did keep ice moves, like it would have something additional coverage hit other Pokemon. So, but the fact that it doesn't have ice coverage or even like ways to beat like, well, I guess it has like Shadow Ball. Let me see. Yeah, it does. So it can hit rock types, but dark type Pokemon are just gonna murder this thing. So, but honestly, like Incineroar or something like that. So yeah, like just be careful about using CM on Articuno. This is definitely a win con, but once you get rid of it's like Articuno's key checks and counters. So yeah, then you have Life Orb. Life Orb Articuno with maybe like Calm Mind, maybe or U-turn. I don't know. You could also run like Boots. One thing to note is that you could also run Boots because you don't take damage from raw hazards, rocks. or you could just run Life Orb or Leftovers, however, whatever suits your, whatever rocks your boat. So, of course, you could run like an offensive Life Orb set, for Articuno, which would be very helpful. So, and even Specs with U-turn just to keep your momentum. I wonder if this thing gets Trick. No, it gets Trick Room, but I don't know if that's viable if you ask me. Like, I can see that being that could work in like a VGC setting, like running like competitive Trick Room, since Landorus is back and Incineroar. Oh wait, never mind. Well, you do have Ancient Power to hit Incineroar, so I guess that's nice. There. So, yeah. In terms of other options, you do have access to Stored Power, Dual Screens, and Hypnosis as a sleep option. So, again, Articuno's like, I'd say it's like in terms of like overall Pokemon, I know it's kind of like a UU type mon. I'd see this thing fall into RU, but I think it will settle into UU in a bit. Like, in terms of like a draft league setting, I could see this thing, especially in Diallo decks, being like a high tier B pick. But like in a Nat decks, I feel like this thing really misses out in all those coverage options, and especially like the fact that there's all these dark ghost type Pokemon, and all this, like, in a weird way, like Game Freak kind of reintroduced a little bit of power creep in some of those Pokemon, even though like they limited it. So, but yeah, like as you'll see a theme with these birds and all these new Pokemon. It's like they try to like weaken them just to make him like somewhat balanced. So yeah. Next up is Zapdos. Let's just go into Zapdos moves like BSD before we go into its move pool. Zapdos has a very nice bulk with 90 across the board. 90 HP, 90 defense, 90 for def, and it has an attack stat of 125. So it's pretty nice. On top of that, it has 100 speed, so it's pretty useful, and it's very fast for a fighting type Pokemon, especially for a flying type. So, so in terms of coverage, you have access to moves like Brave Bird, Close Combat, Blaze Kick, Stomping Tantrum, U-turn. I guess we could just go into the physical section if you ask me. So, yeah, you'll also have access to other strong fighting moves like Thunderous Kick, which guaranteed lowers the target's defense. So that's pretty massive there. You have access to Drill Peck if you want like a move that doesn't hit you recoil. Throw Chop is also nice if you like want to hit like, say, like an opposing how do I say this? If you want to hit like opposing like psychic types, there you go. Psychic ghost types that could potentially wall you. So yeah, the choice is yours. Like, of course, like I'm gonna be going over the stats right now, but these are just like the coverage options you get, and Zapdos is pretty good. The only thing it doesn't get is that's Bajer. There's some moves it gets, but like it loses access to Roost, which is, while Zapdos still keeps Roost as its level up move, so that's kind of bad on it on Galarian Zapdos then. But it does have access to setup and bulk up, and even taunt now, so that could be some interesting sets. So the first set I have here is Choice Band. Of course, with Defiant, you're like, no one wants to intimidate you, or heavens, like they want to like drop your stats or anything like that. Go for Intimidate. So if they try to intimidate you, you got +1 back. So this is a good wall breaker. Just Brave Bird, close combat stuff. You go for Thunderous Kick if you don't want to like the drops, or Drill Pick if you don't want the recoil. So Stomping Tantrum is pretty nice because it hits stuff like Toxapex, Aegislash, and like there's another Pokemon. Damn, I forgot. There's one Pokemon I forgot that you need Stomping Tantrum for, but I guess Electric types. Yeah, there you go, Electric types. But of course, like Zapdos, like there are certain like flying type, steel types, like Corviknight, Celesteela, Skarmory. So I could see this thing going with like Blaze Kick if you need to like hit like certain steel types pretty hard. So just for harder damage, you have a chance to burn or crit. So pretty nice. And finally, you have U-turn, just momentum. So then you have Zapdos with Scarf, pretty much the same thing. Like, I won't go over like the Moople section because it really comes down to what you feel with Zapdos. Like, maybe you want like Close Combat Brave Bird as your general stab, since like you're weaker with the Sure, but it's a good revenge killer since you have access to U-turn and you get momentum, so that's pretty nice. So next up we have Bulk Up. Now Bulk Up Zapdos is pretty interesting because it really comes down to what you feel is good in terms of like if you want this to be a win con or do you want this to be like a just a general breaker or just setup sweeper or whatever. So you have access to Thunderous Kick, which of course, what the thing about this move is that it's base 90 power, and it pretty much allows you to like drop your opponent's like defense by 1 stage. So it's not like has a chance, but it's guaranteed. So it's pretty nice. Especially like with close combat, you have lower power points, and of course like you're dropping your defenses. With bulk up, you're bulking up. Again, you're increasing your attack and defense, so that's pretty nice. Again, you could run Brave Bird, Drill Peck, Bear Vulture Bolt, and I've seen people run like Agility. Some people run Blaze Kick for the steel, the flying steel types, and or Stomping Tantrum. But Agility is kind of interesting because you're basically giving Zapdos a very strong win condition. Like if you get an Agility up and your opponent doesn't have anything for you, then that's GG. So here's another set that I have, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like Rest Talk, Bulk Up. The difference is you just run Brave Bird with Zapdos and reverse Spadef. So you can also remove this and Sleep Talk to have like Thunder's Kick if you feel like that's what floats your boat. So again, you can go for whatever coverage you want, or you can even go for like Taunt if you feel like you want to like just set up on top of like opponents. Honestly, you can see something like Sub Taunt Bulk Up. I can see something like this working, and like especially in a draft league setting. So yeah. Then lastly, we have like Life Orb with Brave Bird, Close Combat, Blaze Kick, Agility, or Close Stomping Tantrum. Again, whatever floats your boat. So, I mean, this bird's an ostrich. So, in terms of other items, I've seen boots. I've seen like Life Orb. There's also another set I saw, but I'm not so sure. You could run Expert Belt if you're like you don't want to like lower your damage output. Oh yeah, Adrenaline Lorn. I think that's some people like try to use this just to get like a +1 boost in speed immediately. So yeah. I mean Zapdos is pretty well yeah, it's pretty. I mean it's a bird. Looks like a I mean like I don't know what this big Zapdos looks like. It looks like Big Bird if you ask me. So so yeah, that's the agility set if you want. So again, in terms of other options, you could run Substitute just to like with bulk up, or Substitute to attacks. That could be really nice. Acrobatics could be useful on like terrain teams. So that way you get like your terrain boost, and then you just have access to bulk up, and you just boost up, and you have acrobatics, which gives you a like 110 damage output with no recoil. So again, you can run Drill Peck if you feel like you don't need Brave Bird, but I think Brave Bird's better because of damage output. And lastly, Taunt. I mean, Zapdos could be a pseudo taunt, like Starbreaker with like a Taunt, U-turn, maybe Thunder's Kick, just to lower the target's defenses. So that could be pretty interesting. So yeah, so that's Zapdos. And last but not least, we have Moltres, which I honestly think they shafted Moltres pretty hard, and it's pretty bad if you ask me. Because like, just look at its stats. If you like, just look like they gave 100. They switched to like I think they switched like the special attack and Spadef. Like they switched Moltres' stats to make it like a semi Spadef Mandibuzz, but then they don't give it like Roost, which is kind of messed up because this thing would have been very good with Roost. Like this having like 125 with Roost would have been amazing. Of course, Spadef special attack would have been kind of meh, but you do have access to Nasty Plot and Berserk, and what Berserk does is that you get +1 every time you get like below like 50% whenever a Pokemon or a target like something targets you down with an attack. So unfortunately, you can't activate this with Substitute, which is something I tested out with Drumpus, but it is what it is. So honestly, I do feel like Galarian Moltres got shafted the most because it doesn't have access to any fire coverage, which is like, wait, let me check something very quickly. Sorry, this is like something important. Nope, it doesn't get Thunder Wave. I was I literally thought that Galarian Zapdos had Thunder Wave. So, anyways, let's just go back. So yeah, so like Galarian Moltres has like very crappy coverage, almost like worse than like well semi worse than like Articuno. Like if it had fire coverage, this thing would have been set, to be honest. So yeah, very unfortunate that they didn't give like Galarian Moltres like the fire coverage like Flamethrower or even Heat Wave. So yeah, and of course this is basically Gen 8. You don't have access to the TM Roost or Toxic, so you can't Toxic Stall. So this thing does have access to some interesting options like Taunt, U-Turn, Foul Play. Literally, that's the Mandibus set, except it doesn't have Roost. Man, like you just like take a shot how many times I'm gonna say Roost. So start counting. So or if you already been counting, you already have like what 10 or something like that. So in terms of movesets, Life Orb, offensive Life Orb is like the most like obvious set for this guy. You could run like Nasty Plot with Ancient Power, Hurricane, Fiery's Wrath, and with Fiery Wrath, its effect for Fiery Wrath is basically like a 20% chance to flinch, but it's like just stronger. So and it hits like like both targets like in double battles. So it is a superior Dark Pulse, but especially in doubles and like damage output wise. But you do lose out in power point value, so that one you're gonna have to choose whether or not you want more power points, or or increased power with less power points, or more power with Fiery Wrath, like, or whether you want like less power with Dark Pulse but more power point value. So yeah, of course you do have access to Hurricane, you have access to like Ancient Power. I think you do have Hex, so if your opponent in Shadow Ball, so you could like hex down opponents if with the combination of like Toxic with your other mons, and you could just do that as well. But again, like you're gonna Nasty Plot up and attempt to sweep. So with this guy, you could also run Heavy Duty Boots if you feel like it. So next up we have specs. You do have access to U-Turn, which is pretty nice. And the thing about like Galarian Moltres is that it could be very deceptively strong with specs, especially if it gets a Berserk boost. So it could basically get like a specs on a specs boost. So that could be pretty nice on Galarian Moltres. But again, like it's really telling that this thing is like it needs the coverage. So then we have this subplot Moltres, which essentially allows it to like, if you're able to like set up with Substitute plus Nasty Plot, then attempt to like sweep with Hurricane and Fiery Dance, or not Fiery Dance, but like Fiery Wrath. Man, this thing should have gone Fiery Dance. Man, so many. This is like the most missed potential mon out of all the Galarian like Pokemon. Like, not gonna lie. So, but I could understand why Game Freak had to nerf them. But this one's just, I think it's probably out cruel, even though this thing is basically the cool Pokemon too. But yeah, you have access to Substitute, you have access to Nasty Plot, just set up, if you ask me. So Hurricane and Fiery Wrath are your strongest options, if you ask me. So yeah. Next up, this one's like sort of like a defensive set, and this is like a Rest Talk, Galarian Moltres. Yeah, we're going back to Gen 2, boys. So yeah, we're just gonna go with Nasty Plot, Hurricane, or Fiery Wrath, or Dark Pulse. One of the three options. I know, slashed. But you could run Nasty Plot or Sleep Talk, Rest. This is sort of like one of those mons that just attempts to sleep late game. Once everything like once its counters are beaten. So, and since this thing can't be status, with Rest Talk, you have the potential to get more Nasty Plot boosts and Hurricane attacks instead of like wasting your own Hurricanes. That's pretty nice. You could also remove Sleep Talk and give it like Fiery Dance, or not Fiery Dance, like Fire Wrath, or even Taunt. So you also have access to Agility. That's another option if you're. Well, I'll get into that. So, in terms of other options, like you have access to Foul Play and Taunt, but to be honest, just use Mandibuzz. Like, just use Mandibuzz or Evolto if you're playing Ubers. Like, this thing just I mean, I wouldn't say it's a disappointment or whatnot, but like if you think about it, like it has its use. It has its use. Let's be honest. So like it does have access to memento, which can be interesting on like if you want to like get like some like once you're done with your sweep, you just like you just faint and just lower the target's attacks or offensive stats by -2 and just hope that they don't crit your setup sweeper that's coming in. So yeah. And last but not least, we have agility. So if you want agility plus nasty plot, that could be an option. Especially if with Berserker, you get like what +3 or +5 if they let you give you that. So yeah. So well, what I mean by that is like I mean like if they let you give you like 2 nasty plot boosts, but very likely it's just nasty plot and agility. Maybe like another +1 boost in your special attack. So yeah, that's all the Galarian Birds if you ask me. Honestly, Galarian Zapdos is the best one. Like, I mean it's Zapdos for all I care. So fire or fighting flying is just amazing in terms of coverage. Just all around amazing. So with Defiant as well, so you don't get intimidated. I guess Articuno is like probably second place, but the thing is, it's sort of like one of those Pokemon that you have to work before your win con. But I could see this being like pretty annoying to deal with in the lower tiers, or like it could be like a sleeper pick, and I think it could do well in like in its respective formats. It's just you need a lot of support. And Galarian Moltres is like okay. Let's not talk about Galarian Moltres. So yeah, so that's all I have for all the Pokemon for the like all the Kinto Birds. Overall, I do think that they're nice additions to the metagame. So we'll just have to wait and see like how they play. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this type of content. So, I hope tomorrow I can release the Galarian horses. As let's be honest, those things are kind of sleeper threats, as you'll say. So, anyways, hope you guys have a good day. So, see ya.